Today's video is going to be slightly different for me because I'm actually going to be reviewing the Norwegian Cruise Line's Norwegian Epic cruise ship. I think a lot of people still think of cruises as being quite old-fashioned or for older people, but on the Norwegian Epic especially this wasn't true. There were obviously older people, but I would say that the majority were younger people and families. And as a girl in my 20s, I have a sister who's also 22, a brother who's 18. We just fitted in so well and felt so at home. There was so much to do, and honestly I wish that we had been there for another 7 nights because it was so incredible. So we cruised on the Norwegian Epic in August 2015. We departed from Barcelona, so we flew from Manchester Airport to Barcelona, got on the ship straight away. Embarkation was a little messy, and that's not Norwegian Cruise Line's fault at all. It was definitely the port, and the lady was very unhelpful. But as soon as we stepped on board the boat, the staff were incredible and made us feel at home literally as we were stepping on board. Our first full day, was a day at sea, which was great because it let us look around the ship and get to know it and find our way around a little bit. Our first stop was Naples in Italy, where we actually went on a Pompeii excursion. I'll have tons of more information about that specifically in a blog post down below, so check that out if you are interested in visiting Pompeii. Then stopped at Civitavecchia, which is a stop for Rome. Rome was about 2.5 hours away from this port, so we decided not to go on that trip. We actually went off board for about an hour, looked around, decided it wasn't for us, and came back on board the boat to enjoy the boat to its full capacity whilst it was a little bit quieter, which was an excellent decision. We also stopped at Livorno, which is a stop in Italy for Florence or Pisa. We actually went on an excursion ourselves there, so we took our own train and buses to get to Pisa to see the Leaning Tower, do all these photos, and that was a way more affordable way of doing it, and it gave us a little bit of independence. After that we stopped at Cannes in France, and we didn't go on an excursion, we just went off the boat and literally everything is there right in front of you. I really loved Cannes. The day after that we stopped in Palma in Mallorca. Again, that was really lovely, and we kind of did that all of ourselves. And then the final stop was Barcelona again, which is where we disembarked, sadly, and then we spent 5 days in Barcelona on our own. So the Norwegian Epic itself is currently the 4th largest ship at sea. It takes on 4,100 guests at a time, and also has up to 2,000 staff, so it is a massive ship. It has 17 floors, 15 which are open to the general passengers, and then the extra 2, 16 and 17, which are open to haven only passengers. We actually stayed in 3 inside staterooms across our family, and when we were on board we were actually told that if we had stayed in haven, which is where you get kind of a private suite and a private butler and things like that, it actually would have worked out cheaper if we'd done that. So you live and you learn. But again, you don't know these things until you kind of do your research and get your own experience, so exactly why I'm making this video. Our cabins were the inside staterooms. The decor I think was perfect. It was exactly what it needed to be. The size was perfect as well. Obviously it's not going to be really spacious when you're on board a ship, but there was plenty enough space for us. We didn't spend very much time inside our cabins at all because we were always out there doing something, going to a show, going in the pool. I know that some people have kind of reviewed the ship and said that the bathroom setup for the Epic's cabins isn't great because the toilets and the showers are separate. However, I shared with my sister and we actually found that it worked out really well for us. So the toilet is at one side, which is completely frosted over, so you couldn't see anything if you wanted to. The shower is on the other side, and again that's completely frosted, so even if you were looking you won't be able to see anything more than a frosted silhouette there. And then there is actually a curtain, so you can kind of swipe off that whole section and make it into 2 smaller rooms, and then on the other side of the curtain is a sink. So it actually worked out really well for us because it meant that we could get ready in different stages at the same time. So whilst we were on board, we thoroughly explored the whole ship. We were given sneaky peeks into areas that other people might not see, and while the restaurants were quiet and things like that, and also obviously shown around haven, which we wouldn't have usually been able to see because that is key card access. The ship itself was so clean. We saw people cleaning kind of everywhere. They were cleaning the walls, cleaning the buttons, cleaning the public toilets every time we went in. It is so clean. They are so hot on hygiene, which was so reassuring to know. The staff on board the ship were fantastic. I think our experience was made even better by how wonderful and welcoming the staff were at every location on board, whether it's the security who swipe you in and out when you kind of disembark and then come back on board every day, whether it's the waiting staff in the restaurants, our cabin stewards. They were all fantastic and so friendly. So on to one of the best bits of the cruise, the food. There's 21 different dining options on board the Epic, if I recall correctly. Some of those do have a surcharge, so they are extra money on top of what you're already paying for your cruise. We personally found that the standard of food was so high that we personally didn't want to pay extra money to dine at any other restaurants. We particularly loved the Manhattan Room, which is a beautiful Art Deco style ballroom cum restaurant. It is absolutely wonderful. The quality of the food is fantastic. The waiting staff are excellent. And on a couple of nights a week they actually have ballroom dancers come and dance whilst you're eating your dinner, which is just perfect. That was definitely our favourite restaurant to dine in. The only place that we paid extra for food was at the Cirque du Soleil, and that wasn't for the food, it was to see the show whilst you ate your dinner. I actually found the food there the most disappointing out of all the restaurants, despite paying more for it, but I would happily do it again to see the show, which was an excellent circus wacky show. I think probably the most popular place to dine on the boat is the Garden Cafe, which is the buffet, which is kind of half on deck and then half inside at the front of the ship. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of buffets, so we only really ate there if we were kind of in a rush for getting off the ship in the morning. It was just kind of easy to grab your food and go, or we kind of didn't really need anything at lunchtime, so sometimes we just went and got a snack from there and took it back to the pool. It was very, very busy at the Garden Buffet, so busy, and there wasn't a time really when it wasn't busy, but that kind of wasn't a problem for us because we didn't really enjoy dining there as much as the sit-down restaurant. A tip I have for dining on board a cruise ship is that often the sit-down restaurants are open at breakfast and lunch times, and you might not even realise. So on some days, Cagney's and Maderno was open at breakfast time, which is usually an upcharged restaurant, so you get to dine there for free at breakfast. So we did that a couple of times, which was really lovely because it's nice to be in a relaxed, quieter environment, and the decor was really lovely in there. So a tip is to look out on the Freestyle Daily, which is the leaflet that they give you every single night, which tells you what's on the next day. In terms of entertainment on board the ship, there is honestly so much to do. We were there for 7 days and it just simply wasn't enough time to do everything. Because it is such a special holiday for us, I definitely did my research and I kind of did a list of everything that we wanted to do, but even then it was such a struggle trying to squeeze everything in because there is so much entertainment going on. So at night there are the shows. There's a couple of different shows that are on. We saw the main show in the Epic Theatre, which again makes you completely forget you're on board a ship because it is such a huge theatre, and the show was Legends in Concert. Personally, I thought the show was a bit naff, which is slightly disappointing, but what you would expect of a typical cruise ship, but slightly surprising I thought for Norwegian Cruise Lines. A show that we actually really found surprising that we enjoyed a lot was the Dueling Pianos. So this was a kind of informal casual show, which is kind of walk in, walk out, which is on from 10 till 1, I think every other day, in the evening of course, and it's in Headliners Comedy Club. So the chairs are set out like a comedy club. On stage there's 2 pianos which are head to head, and then a drum kit, and then there's 3 guys which take on any requests that you have and kind of sing the songs in a really funny way. It's really comedic and it's a really lovely interactive casual show. In terms of other entertainment on board, we visited the ice bar, which is amazing to think that there's an ice bar at sea. Again, that was an upcharge, and for 5 of us it cost $100, so it's quite a lot extra on top of what you're already paying for your holiday, but I mean we were only there once so we decided to do it. That was really fun, and you got 2 cocktails each in ice cups. Again, more info about that on my blog. We also had to go over the climbing wall, the water slides. These things are like really cool extras to have on board a ship, because the things that we would ordinarily do on a kind of a day out, our own excursion, but it's just such a bonus to have them on board. The water slides especially were so fun. In terms of the pools and things on deck, there's kind of a main pool and water park area where the 3 water slides are. There's a couple of pools, I think 4 hot tubs, and that kind of backs onto the garden cafe and the buffet. So that's kind of like the main area on deck, and this got really busy pretty much every day. Even on shore days when most people left the boat, it was still very busy. And this is where kids can play in the pool, and it was very family orientated. So if you have a family, definitely hang around this area. Personally, as a girl in my 20s, I don't want to be around kids all day, which is fine, each to their own. So there's an adults only area at the back of the ship called Spice H2O, and this was perfect for us. Spice H2O had its own sunbeds, its own bars, its own little buffet area. It had 2 hot tubs, its own pool, and it had a huge screen which they used to show films on at night. And it was a really lovely area. We actually spent most afternoons here because it was so relaxed and chilled compared to the rest of the deck area. It felt completely separate and very calm. So in terms of other activities and things they had on, every night when your cabin steward comes into your cabin to turn down your sheets and get things ready for bed, they will leave with you probably a towel animal, which is a huge bonus. I love them. And also a freestyle daily. This is kind of a mini magazine that Norwegian Cruise Lines do to let you know everything that's going on the next day. I think it's a lovely idea because not only does it have itineraries where you're going next, all the restaurants and facilities that are open, it also lets you know of any entertainment they're doing, any competitions, things like that. And every day there was kind of, I think 6 pages just full of stuff, which is incredible to think of, all the things that they do every single day. One of the highlights of the visit for us was how wonderful the staff were to us, how amazing Grace was at helping us arrange some special surprises for my parents' 30th wedding anniversary. She had a cake made, she dropped off treats at the cabin. On that anniversary day she decorated the whole cabin with banners and anniversary themed bells and balloons, and at dinner they brought out another cake and all the waiters sang to them. It was just absolutely fantastic, and it's little touches like that that just sent the holiday from incredible to super incredible. I think I'm going to end this video here because I already know it's so long. I will have another video about our vlog, about all the different places that we went to, our excursion, things like that, coming soon. So thank you very much for watching, and if you're going on the Norwegian Epic or a Norwegian cruise soon, then I am very jealous, but have a fantastic time, and I will hopefully see you in my next video.